I squeezed my eyes shut, and I was back at the Defiance camp, sitting across the table from Griff. It's hard to believe that's the most valuable thing my dad owned, isn't it, kid? Griff never took his eyes off the pendant I held up in front of me. Now just need the other 7. After not seeing him for 3 days, I went looking. After all, he referred to me as his brother. The others were just there to follow orders in exchange for food and shelter. Knocking twice, I had opened his door and found him sitting at the table, empty bottles lined up in front of him, notebook pages scattered across the floor around him. What is it? It reminded me of the cheap plastic jewelry my sister sometimes picked out as a prize at the school carnival. The letters Instruo followed the curved side. Something the world doesn't want us to have. He took a long drink from one of the bottles on the table, and I made a mental note to dump it out the minute he wasn't looking. They killed my dad for it, but he was one step ahead of him. He had told me about the strained relationship he had with his father. They had barely talked since Griff ran away from home at 16. He might not have been there when I was a kid, but he came looking for me to make sure I knew about this. Said if anything happened to him, I had to get to that safe deposit box. So it's some kind of heirloom? I sat down and slid the bottle away from him. He wasn't making sense, and he wouldn't be in any condition to answer coherently until morning. Griff laughed. No, my dad and his research team spent years trying to prevent all viruses with one vaccine. But instead, they found a way to do the opposite. With their research, any virus becomes 10 times more severe. You don't want that. I dumped the pendant back into his hand. You're terrified of the fever. Exactly. Look how people react when it infects a few hundred people. Imagine if we had the cure and the virus. People would hand over whatever we wanted in exchange for their health. I nodded. Who knew how much Griff had drunk to get like this? He'd talk sense after sleeping it off. I helped him to bed. Lock it up in the file cabinet over there. He held the pendant out to me. We can't take any chances. Its cold surface touched my hand and I shivered. Finding myself back in the truck staring down at the pendant's twin a year later in Maibe. My breath caught in my chest as I tried to reconcile how the evil little object could show up just when life was finally good. Did Rochelle know it was there? Did she know it existed at all? It was none of my business. But whose business was it? If it belonged to Rochelle's dad, was it hers? Kinley's? Kat's? I didn't want Griff to come poking around asking them questions. I didn't want him anywhere near them. Charlie? Kat's voice drifted through the open garage door. Charlie, you out here? I shoved the pendant into my shorts pocket, jumped out of the truck, and hurried out onto the patio. Kinley was looking for you. She held a paper up in front of her. Tell her I'd rather make my own birthday lunch than spend the morning searching for my presents. The whole point of the traditional scavenger hunt was to keep Kat out of the kitchen for an hour. Check the garage for the first one. The pendant felt heavy in my pocket, though it didn't actually weigh enough that I would feel it. Happy birthday, by the way. I remembered to smile, but Kat made a funny face and I knew I wasn't acting like myself. I should find out what Kinley needs. How could I ruin her birthday by trying to explain my own fears? She just shook her head and made her way into the garage as I crossed the patio and pulled the back door open.